Welcome. As you can see on your screen, you have reached the MIT xPRO Technology and Innovation Acceleration Program. My name is Kai Jarda, and I'll be moderating this overview webinar for you today. Welcome. We have our keynote speaker on the line, Professor David Nino, who I'll be introducing in more length in just a moment. Kind of want to set the stage for how the session is going to go. We're going to be touching on two topics today. What the content is you'll be learning in the program and how you'll be learning that content, how that content is delivered. So today we have speaking with us and going through the content is Professor David Nino, who's the senior lecturer at Gordon Engineering Leadership Program. He's actually the professor at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. Again, I'm Kai Jarda, and I'll be helping you guys out with this webinar. Professor Nino, would you like to jump off and say hello to our audience?
There we go. So hi, everyone. Thanks for being a part of our webinar today. And Kai, thank you for walking us through this. Yep.
Absolutely. And I'll be giving Professor Nino an opportunity to talk a little bit more about himself. But before we do that, we're going to go through and kind of talk about what we're going to be going through and why you want to come to MIT xPRO and what the online program can do for you and how that can transform what you're looking to do. Now, as far as MIT xPRO goes, the thing that sets us apart as far as online education is that at MIT, they're really focused on the neuroscience of adult learning. So these programs are designed with adults in mind, and adults who are already working in their fields. So that's really cutting edge research, really thinking about how and what is best to learn as we get older and through our education and try to build upon what we already know. On this slide, you'll see kind of a snapshot of how the learning experience is. We're going to come back to that a little bit later in the program, and I'll go through this at length. But if you look briefly, they've made it bite-sized learning. Again, we are busy professionals in the ongoing world and working in the now, so we want to make sure this is accessible and attainable for everyone. We're going to run a little poll here and kind of get a sense for where we're at in the room. So the question we want to pose before we begin is, do you believe that your company is developing leaders for a future economy driven by advanced technologies? All right, so we have about 80% say yes and 20% saying no. So Professor Nino, I hope that helps you inform with how we can deliver this content and show everyone in the room how this can help them with their leadership development. Thank you everyone for sharing your thoughts on that poll. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we push through the session. So why technology? Sorry about that. Why technology and acceleration? Innovation and acceleration. So why do I need to know? What do I need to know in order to gain a competitive edge in exceeding business goals? So if you had any of these questions, this question ever popped into your mind, this program is for you and can help you figure out how you're going to grow your business and accelerate it. So, and we'll do one last poll before we dive deeper into the content. This is going to help us inform again how we can deliver this content to you and make sure you're getting all your questions, and hoping this webinar is here to answer any of those questions you want to discover and what you can get out of this program. So the last question before we start through the content is, would you rather be skilled at leading radical innovation or incremental innovation? So you have a choice between radical innovation or incremental innovation. And we'll see our results pop up in just a bit. All right, so we have 75% saying radical innovation and 25% saying incremental innovation. When we talk about who this program is for, we designed the program for this category, mid to senior levels, managers, functional department heads, senior technology leaders, consultants, basically anyone who has decision-making power. What industry are you coming from? If you want to share your organization, what category do you fall in? Are you mid to senior level managers, senior technology leaders? Where do you fall? Share as much as you like. Again, the more you share, the more Professor Nino will be able to relate to what you're looking for and how this program can help your industry, your business, or your own personal growth. So I'm going to invite Professor Nino back into the spotlight as I hand it over to him to go through the content. He's going to talk a little bit about himself and his role in the program, the faculties, what you'll be learning module to module, your Capstone project, and then I'll come back in and talk about the learning experience, exactly how all this content is delivered. So with that, I warmly welcome Professor Nino into the spotlight to say a warm hello and continue on with the content. Thank you, Professor Nino, for being here, and over to you.
All right, thank you, Kayez, and I think that thanks also for utilizing the chat, so it'll give us a sense of maybe some questions you have, where you're coming from, and the kind of position that you're in right now. This is an exciting program. I think it's a first of its kind, at least that I'm aware of, program that integrates a lot of different elements of MIT's kind of overall educational experience. MIT is a place that is kind of renowned for science and technology. But what this webinar, what this series does is it takes on some of these sort of emerging technologies or helps share with you some thoughts that are important for leaders in that are operating in this sector of science and technology, but brings in, if you want to be successful in utilizing some of these technologies in ways that help your company perform better, help help companies achieve the goals that you're trying to achieve. But it also, so we bring in the organizational side. We also bring in the teamwork side. How do you form a small group of people together to accomplish great things together? And then there's just the leadership development side as well. So the unique part of this program is it sort of weaves together these different topics, but you also get to learn from different faculty from across MIT. So let me just introduce you real quickly to the faculty that are teaching in the program. This is our staff of faculty that you'll be learning from. As Kai has mentioned earlier, the content that you're going to be getting from this program is from all of our standpoint. It's the same content that we teach at MIT. So my classes, I teach in the graduate program. I teach graduate classes, and I might have what amounts to about 200 hours of teaching in one of my graduate classes, or learning and reading and all of the activities involved. And I'm one of the instructors in this program, and so you'll have, I don't know what amounts to 3 hours or so of it. But collectively, so the point I want to make is that I think that the quality of the learning is significant because all of us have our unique areas of expertise, and you'll be again gaining insights that the same insights that we teach here on our campus. So just to give you a feel for some of the folks that are teaching, if you're interested in designing products or designing services, Steve Eppinger, he's a faculty member in the Sloan School of Management. He's renowned on this topic, and so he's known for design, working in this design space. And all of us have to sort of understand in some ways how to not only imagine new ideas, but also to pull those ideas together into something very concrete that you can deliver to customers. Sanjay Sharma, for those of you, I see most of the people on this group today, you're interested in radical innovation. That's what Sanjay teaches. Sanjay he's a very senior faculty leader here at MIT. He reports up to the president of MIT. He runs the open learning, the digital learning arm of MIT. He's a mechanical engineering professor, and he's very passionate about this idea of developing really bold breakthrough ideas, and especially technology driven. So you'll learn from Sanjay in this group. Daniela Roos is one of the big priorities that MIT has right now, and we actually developed a whole college around artificial intelligence. And Daniela Roos she's actually the director of one of the core sort of research areas in artificial intelligence here at MIT. And so you'll learn directly from her. Ray Reagans is a faculty member also in the Sloan School. You'll learn from him on the topics of networks. Fox Harrell's part of this group. You'll see he's from the Media Lab here at MIT, also focusing on artificial intelligence, but particularly with how it is enabling digital media, new emerging technologies in digital media. So lots here. Ed Crowley he's an aerospace engineer, and very famous in space technologies or emerging space technologies, and sort of the design of aerospace planes and a number of other technologies that's going to be taking us into space and beyond. So anyway, I could talk about every one of these folks, but they're wonderful professors. They're all, again, part of the MIT community that you'll be learning from in this program. So that's the faculty. The program has been pulled together around 6 core topics, and the idea is that by completing the entire program, you'll have elements of each of these that all together will help, accelerate your ability to take the technologies that are emerging and do something hopefully wonderful with them. And so just to walk through these very briefly, we start with kind of start inside your mind. One of the important skills that are preparing us for the future of work, especially preparing us to manage the transition that we're all experiencing in this, either what some call the 4th Industrial Revolution, but it is a big, big change that we have been in the midst of today. And what critical thinking is all about is helping us really ask hard questions about how we learn, how we evaluate ideas, how we arrive at decisions, and those skills are especially important today because so much of the past is being disrupted, not only technologically but also from an environmental standpoint, political standpoint. Lots of forces in society are shifting, and so critical thinking is actually a really important skill to help us sort of prepare for the future of work. Systems thinking is it's a way of understanding, especially on the engineering side and on the technological side, all the various stakeholders and the components that interact with one another that produce some of the either tech services, produce some of the economic outcomes that we're seeing in broader society. But certainly any complex company that's making something, a systems perspective really helps you understand how the whole can deliver something outstanding. This is all the components, the whole organization works. I watched a short documentary yesterday on how just the manufacturing of chips, the little computer chips that run cars, that run our phones, that run a lot of the technologies, how that industry has evolved from 20 years ago to today and how it's going to continue to evolve in the future. And the reason I brought that up is we know we're, what I assume most of us around the world are experiencing inflation. And there's just a supply chain shortage of chips, right, that can run these various machines that we have. And so that's just an example of how just literally a tiny little a component of a complex system can cause so many problems for the development of these, not only vehicles, but also these systems. So systems thinking is another very powerful tool set that helps us, again, understand, but also prepare for the development of new technologies in the future. The pillar 3 is going to be focused on some of the cutting edge technologies that are disrupting our world today. So you'll learn about quantum computing, learn about artificial intelligence, AR, VR, which is tied to this sort of metaverse that's evolving. So there's kind of a core technical component to the program. I mentioned radical innovation. Radical innovation is just a way of understanding how new ideas evolve in ways that really change the dynamics of entire industries sometimes. So that's radical innovation. You'll learn how to do that from one of our STAR faculty members. I mentioned also strategy. We all of our companies have goals. We have things that we try to achieve together. And as we are going to adapt and new technologies, we have to understand, so how does it fit with our with our companies, and how does it fit with what we're trying to achieve, what we can achieve relative to our competitors. And then there's a leadership piece, which brings it all kind of to you as individuals and how we can pull together, how we understand our own sort of strength as leaders, but how we can pull together the right groups, the small teams that are going to make great things happen. So the 6 components of the program really all come together to give us what we need to be successful at adopting new technologies and accelerating how they impact the world. Some of the key takeaways: you'll understand how to implement new technologies. You'll understand how to explore some of these new technologies as they evolve and how we can apply them in our companies. You'll understand, be able to identify some of the core features and strategies, as I mentioned, to make things happen. And then on the last piece, once you identify new goals and new technologies and new ideas that you want to put to use, you have to understand how to implement them in such a way that you create sustainable changes. And this is where the strategy piece at the end is going to be especially important. Okay, so those are the key takeaways that you'll learn from our program. I'm going to go through this fairly quickly. This is the core content that you're going to be learning. As I mentioned, there's the critical thinking piece in the front. Here, it's understanding what is critical thinking, how does it manifest in our companies and in our groups, how this can critical thinking help us make better decisions over time. And then we'll shift to this systems thinking idea. We'll introduce kind of very fundamentally, when we think about a company as a system, or even a whole industry as a system, or even a group as a system, what are some frameworks for doing that so we can understand how all the parts interrelate with each other in important ways. So that's module 4. Module 5, if you're going to go to the next slide, is going to continue to sort of unpack this systems thinking idea. I mentioned supply chains earlier, so we'll understand supply chains and how AI is driving some of the approaches to supply chains today. Systems architecture is how systems are designed, right? And then we'll move more toward what's called design structure matrices. This is a tool that just helps us make decisions by analyzing lots of data and putting that data to use in positive ways. And then finally, you'll again understand how to make decisions more effectively based on your understanding of the system's dynamics is what you'll gain from this part of the program. You want to go to the next slide? Module 9. Here we'll get into some of the more technical topics, as I mentioned earlier. So artificial intelligence is one of those technologies that's driving so many changes in many aspects of our companies and society. And we'll continue to do this probably for the next 20, 30 years until probably be another breakthrough technology evolved during this time. So you'll learn some of the basics of understanding artificial intelligence-based products. Machine learning is how we are creating the algorithms that are driving a lot of these the service processes that are driven by AI. Deep learning is another important technology that is sort of fits within this context of utilizing AI to develop new systems. And then module 12 focuses on so taking everything we've taught about AI and machine learning and deep learning, how can we apply this to solving some of our business problems or creating some new business opportunities that utilize these technologies? So this is a kind of part of the core technology piece of our program. Module 13 then focuses on augmented reality and virtual reality. And so here we have a couple of modules on what is going to continue to evolve into a different way that we will start experiencing lots of our service processes Just to give you a concrete example, I can't remember if this is covered in the program, but I think with the evolution of the virtual reality and the augmented reality, we'll probably have more doctors' visits where doctors and patients, for example, will put these headsets on, and doctors won't have to travel to visit with patients. There'll be ways of performing some very basic work in this medical field differently than it's been done in the past. So you probably heard of the metaverse. I think Facebook has certainly, they've changed even the name of their company to Meta, anticipating that as these technologies evolve, it's going to become a huge part of our particular business experience in the near future. Quantum computing also, you'll learn about kind of what it is and how it's also going to evolve into a technology that's going to define a lot differently some of the things that we're doing today in our companies. So those are the core technical topics. Then you'll learn how some of the basics of radical innovation, what it is, why it's important, and how to recognize it as it's evolving in your industry. So if you want to go to the next slide, we'll have a few sessions on radical innovation. Then we'll shift into how to lead innovation in effective ways. This is where we'll introduce the topic of strategy. And so if you want to sort of lead bold new ideas, you have to align it with your company. And then once you sort of figure out what it is that you want to do in terms of adopting new technologies in ways that's going to be, implement bold steps forward in your companies, you have to learn how to do that from a leadership perspective. And so we'll have modules on not only on strategy, but high performing teams. And then if you'll go to I think the last slide here, it's understanding some ways of thinking about leadership that have a strong technology flavor to it. And then finally, when you want to understand how to build sustainable changes, these are changes that sort of continue to evolve over time. You have to understand sort of the social networks side of this. It's just the people that are involved and how to utilize, who knows how to utilize expertise, how to utilize capabilities in ways that create sustainable change. And that's where the program wraps up. We're going to go to the next slide. That's the content of the program. You'll learn from case studies. These are different types of case studies. We have, it's like Toyota, for example, one big company. We have Apollo mission, which is gives us a glimpse into probably 100 years out in our own quest as humans to travel into especially deep space, which is what we're experiencing today. So a lot of the technology, a lot of the way that we're working, a lot of the changes that we're experiencing are kind of brought to life in some of these case studies. And so that'll give you a very concrete understanding of how these various concepts and practices and technologies that you're learning about the program apply to real life situations. So it's just an example of some of the case studies that we'll cover. Part of the way the program is designed as well is there's capstone projects. And what the capstone projects are essentially, as you go through modules, so say when you go through the critical thinking module and you understand how critical thinking can possibly help us understand and ask hard questions about, this is what we're doing today. Just to give you an example of this. So artificial intelligence and machine learning and autonomous vehicles could very well in the next 30 years have technologies evolve that replace truckers. These are just people who drive trucks. I know they're in the news a lot today, especially in Canada. And so critical thinking helps us understand, let's say if we're in the trucking industry or in an industry where, we have ways of getting products from one place to another that utilize these, old technologies, how is it going to change? What kind of decisions can we make? How can we use some of the tools that we're learning in this program to think more critically about what we know today and what might evolve in the future? So the critical thinking module, I just use the truck driving and the potential elimination of jobs in truck driving, at least the truck driver jobs in the future, as an example of where by asking hard questions and, thinking very critically about what we're doing and how the past might be very different than the future. In the capstone part of this is what you'll do. You'll say, okay, this is what I'm learning in the program. How does this apply to my business? What are some of the insights I'm gaining from this that can help me in my job now? And so we have a little exercise that asks you to think just as I just did. So how does this apply? How can you utilize these ideas? You'll do that several times in the course of the program. So you'll finish critical thinking. How can I apply what I'm learning in critical thinking? Then we'll go through systems thinking. You'll learn these frameworks and specifics, methods for thinking in very sophisticated ways about complex systems and architecture of systems. How does that apply? How does that apply to your job? So the capstone projects are things that you'll do throughout that will help you understand how you can utilize the learning in the program in your own jobs today. Okay, so that's the capstone project. It helps bring everything sort of to life in our program. Yeah, and so that's the essence of the substance of what we cover and how we cover it from the very beginning right up to the end. So Kais, you want to pick up here?
Yes, thank you so much, Professor Nino, for going through the content, the case studies, and the capstone project for us all. So learning experience. So just a brief slide, an image of what the learning journey looks like. As Professor Nino mentioned, you're going to learn by exploring, practicing, applying, sharing, and assessing. So again, this whole idea of this program is to make sure you're learning and making transferable action into your organization or your personal growth. And how we're going to access that learning. Again, we have our live sessions. There's individual feedback sessions and assignments. Feedback on your assignments. When you go to those live discussions, we urge you go with questions, be ready to ask and get the most out of those sessions possible. And you have tons of opportunities in your capstone projects to practice and apply those skills, those real life situations that you can really see in your own business and organizations. There's also a side fireside chats and weekly live office hours. Again, take advantage of those live office hours. I can't stress enough how important it is to bring those questions to those sessions and get that knowledge you want for your industry and your own personal growth as well. Now, upon successful completion, you will be awarded a certificate from MIT xPRO. It looked much like this. And this is a great way to showcase your learning, add it to your LinkedIn. If you're working in an organization and you're looking to make growth or move into a different department or access another part of your organization, this will be a helpful way to showcase your learning upon completion of the program. You have to have a 75% to pass and obtain the certificate. Okay. So as far as your learning journey is, at this point, we are here at the registration process. Our next steps here is to apply and get linked up with a program advisor. On the line, we have in our background our hosts and PAs who are going to help you get through the registration process and answer any of those logistical questions you might have. In just a moment, I'm going to ask our host, Pretty, to put that into the chat. You'll see a link come through. And if you click on this bit.ly, it will take you to the screen that you see in front of us right now. We're in presentation mode, so you cannot click on the apply now link. But if you click on the bit.ly that was just dropped into the chat, it will take you to the page that looks much like this. And once you hit that apply now, you'll get a form that they'll ask you to enter some information and you can get connected with the program advisor. Again, we have program advisors on the line right now to answer any of your questions regarding the program, how to get started. And we have Professor Nino who's going to be on the line to answer any of those live questions you have right now and any content related questions. You may have some more questions about the projects, or maybe you heard a little something about the module that you want him to dive in a little deeper. Any of those questions, we're here to answer those for you now. Another way you can get connected with the program advisor is by simply emailing us. You can email us at mitxpro.latam@emeritus.org. Again, that email is also in the chat. You can copy and paste that, or you can simply wait for the recording. Again, this has been recorded and you'll get the landing deck as well about 24 to 48 hours after the session. So once you get that, you can go into the presentation last page, click apply now there. And also I encourage you to go back into the presentation and go through those modules at deeper length. I'll go through those faculty members' photos and get their name and find out where they're coming from, as well as any of those capstone projects. So you can always go back and get more information. And if you still have questions, please don't hesitate to get connected to the program advisor. Even if it's a content related question, your program advisor can get that answer for you. We can always get connected with faculty to make sure we get you all the information you need before registering for the program. So with that, I am going to welcome Professor Nino back in the spotlight. And we're going to talk a little bit more and answer any of the questions you have. So please feel free, don't be shy. This webinar is here for you to get all the information you want and need. So Professor Nino, I have a question here that says, given the diversity of backgrounds, such as the poll results, can we assume the content will be accessible for those of us who are not stepped into technology? So how accessible is this program for such a wide variety of industries? Can you speak on that?
Yeah. So that's a great question, and I think that the faculty created these, especially the technical faculty, created these videos in ways that you don't have to be a deep expert. I think we all assumed that that people who take this program, for example, when you do the module on quantum computing, that you don't have a lot of prior knowledge of quantum computing. So we've accounted for that in our program. I don't think that any of these now, that's not to say this is going to be an easy learning experience. I've taught at a couple of top tier universities before I came to MIT, and so I think that one of the things that's unique about MIT is that we have the academics are very demanding. And so I will say that our modules are going to be, again, not assume a lot of prior technical expertise on any of these topics, but you will learn a lot. I think that there's a metaphor about an MIT education is like drinking from a fire hose. And so it's you're going to take in a lot. And so I think that's a very good question that you ask. And I think that, I think that you'll get through it fine on the technical side without having a lot of background information on these topics. But it will be, will be a pretty rigorous program of learning.
Thank you, Professor Nino, for answering that question. So the next question I see is, can you tell, there's some folks asking a little bit more about what the work looks like. I know you talked about the Capstone Project and how each module kind of end with a project, but are there work assignments? Do we use PowerPoints? Can you kind of describe how they get to present their learning or how that might work?
Yeah, so there are some activities that as you navigate through the program, you'll have deliverables, things that you'll be turning in. I think it's pretty standard for programs like this. They are, so yes, you will have, you'll have questionnaires that you'll complete, little tests as you go through, just to really, it's helpful for you to understand what you're learning from the program. And thank you for putting this graphic up. It is about 4 to 6 hours a week. I think that's a good, honest estimation of the amount of time that you'll spend on this. So it's designed, the program is designed to, again, not be completely passive learning. I mean, you're paying a good amount of money to learn from this program. And so to some of the best ways of learning is not just sort of passively listening to topics. So like reading a book, you can read a book on any of these topics, but the benefit that you get from this program, I think, is learning from your colleagues, interacting with your colleagues. You have fellow students who are taking this program, testing your understanding, figuring out how to apply what you're learning and how it fits with your job. All those activities really bring a lot of value, I think, to the program. And those are the things that you'll do above and beyond just sort of watching the videos. And so, yes, but I do think that 4 to 6 hours is a good estimation of the time that you'll take to watch the videos, to read the case studies, to interact with one another in the sort of Q&A sessions that you'll be in, writing up your assignments and turning them in, taking the little quizzes throughout. Yeah, I think that's it's a great question. And I think, planning that for this to be a very hands-on, interactive learning experience is a good way to think about this program.
Excellent. And just a clarifying question, Professor, are there capstone projects at the end of every module, or is it just one capstone project that is going to encapsulate all the learning from the program?
Yeah, they're every module. So when you finish pillar 1, pillar 2, pillar 3, pillar 4, you'll have, and these aren't huge projects. These are, you'll get questions about what did you learn in this module that you think would help you in your jobs now. I mean, and so you'll answer those questions. And then at the very end, once you take the strategy module and the part of the program that focuses more on implementation, which is modules 4 and 5, I think, at that point, then you'll go back and look at, well, what are some of the ways what are some of the deliverables that you did in the first 4 capstones, for example, and then how can you actually implement those? And so at the end, the final capstone project is going to build on the capstone projects that you submitted earlier. Okay, so that's how the whole program all fits together. You'll have checkpoints. How can I apply this material? And then at the end, you'll actually you'll propose what you're going to do next with something that you learned from the program. So there's like little mini capstone projects, and then they feed into a final capstone project at the end.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Professor Nino, and I hope that answered everyone's question and clarified. And again, if you missed a part of the program or you came in late or early and had to leave off and come back, that's okay. You will be sent this recording as well as the slides. You can click on the link inside of the PowerPoint that you'll receive in about 24 to 40 hours. You can click on the link right now in the chat. That way you have that landing page ready for you once we close out the session, or you can email us at mitxpro@emeritus.org. Thing you'd like to share or last words before we sign off and say goodbye for the morning?
Yeah, so I think that just to tell everybody at the beginning, which is thanks for being a part of the webinar. Clearly, you took the time to be here today because you're interested in these topics. MIT has a lot of resources. This program is certainly I think a very good program if you want to really jump into a deeply immersive learning experience that combines some of these topics that we've thought about. But if there is anything that interests you specifically on these topics, whether it's quantum computing, artificial intelligence, maybe more on the business side, lots of other resources at MIT to do that. And so you can just do searches on MIT's homepage, and there's we as a institution of higher learning, it's kind of our purpose to provide knowledge provide what we know, what we're developing here, and make it available to everyone so you can use to make a better world, for instance. So so that's my, I guess, final word of advice is to we all are being impacted by these technologies in really profound ways today, and MIT is a great place to learn from, and lots of resources available in addition to this program. So thanks again for being a part of our webinar, and I guess my final word is just to be safe. We're not out of the woods yet in terms of this COVID that we've been going through, so take care of yourselves, and again, thanks for being a part of our program.
And thank you, Professor Nino, for being here, taking time out of your busy day to come talk with us and go through this content. I already see thank yous coming through the chat, and thank you all for being here. I know some of you are waking up early to be with us or staying up very late. This is a global program, a global community, and we want to globally wish you a good morning, good afternoon, and a good evening. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you soon.